and welcome to episode 7 of the Honeybird Studio podcast. My name is Jenny, and I'm coming to you from the Fraser Valley of British Columbia, Canada. You can find me on Instagram and on Ravelry at Honeybird Studio. This is a podcast primarily about knitting, and sometimes other fiber-related endeavors that I might be getting up to. But for today, it is all knitting, and a little bit of admin, and a little bit of acquisitions. So if you're new here, welcome. So glad to have you. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. So glad to see you again. So I've got quite a bit to show today. I've got a couple of finished objects and a couple of works in progress. So before I get into that, I'll do just a little bit of an admin section because on the last episode, I was doing a giveaway for my 500 subscriber celebration. And I got so many comments, so many recommendations for so many podcasts. And I discovered so many new to me podcasts. It's crazy. I thought I had scoured YouTube for all of the knitting and crochet podcasts that I could possibly find. And yet going through all the comments, there were so many that I had never heard of before, or I might have seen and just haven't been through their videos. And so thank you so much to everyone who commented and recommended one or two or more podcasts for me to watch. So I decided that I was going to draw one prize winner for 2 patterns. And I decided this morning that because I had so many recommendations, so many comments, I was going to pull 2 more prizes. So the first prize will get, the first prize winner will get their choice of a pattern on Ravelry up to a value of $15 Canadian, which I think is roughly $12 American or US. And then the other 2 winners will have, the second prize is a pattern of their choice from my collection, from my patterns. And then for the other 2 prize winners, they will each have their choice of one of my patterns as well. So, yeah. So I wrote down, I realized I took screenshots this morning. I used a YouTube comment picker, a random comment picker, and I randomly picked out 3 comments, and I screenshotted them, and I was going to read them on the podcast, but then I realized, it's on my phone, and I used my phone to record. So I kind of wrote down the comments. One of them was a little too long, so I kind of cut it a little bit short, but I will put the comments on the screen as well, so you can see the prize winner and what they had to say. So without further ado, I have them written down on this little piece of paper. Okay, so the first prize winner, the one who's going to get 2 patterns, one from their choice of any pattern on Ravelry and one from my designs, is Jillian Turner. And she said, first time watching, enjoyed. My favorite podcast is The Knitting Place. Enjoy. And that was a new to me podcast. I had not seen that one before, so I was happy to check that one out. So congratulations, Jillian Turner. You won the giveaway. You won a prize of 2 patterns, one from my designs and one from Ravelry. So please contact me either through Ravelry on Instagram or through email. So whichever you prefer, just contact me through one of those and we'll get that set up for you. The next prize winner is Patty B. And she says, hi Jenny, 2 of the podcasts that I enjoy are Fernanda at Little Monkeys and Me and Emily and Deborah at Meanwhile at the Castle. And I had heard of both of these podcasts. I think I actually used to watch Meanwhile at the Castle a couple years ago, but there was a period of time when I first got into podcasts that I would forget to subscribe to channels, and I would just have YouTube show them to me on my front page. And so there was podcasts that I used to watch that I've forgotten over time because back then I wasn't subscribed, and now I'm doing my best to subscribe to all the channels, all the channels that I can, so that I don't lose them again. So it was really nice to have that recommendation because I was like, oh yeah, I liked watching Emily and Deborah at Meanwhile at the Castle. And Little Monkeys and Me, again, that one's a new to me podcast. And Fernanda, I watched a couple of her episodes, I think it was yesterday or the day before. Really fun podcast. She's such a lovely lady. And so the third prize winner is Lynn K. And she says, Crazy Sock Lady, Needles at the Ready, and Happy Knits are some of my favorites. And I'm currently watching Crazy Sock Lady. I've heard of Needles at the Ready, and a number of podcasters have recommended them. And so I will definitely be checking them out. And Happy Knits is a new to me podcast that I will be checking out hopefully sometime this week. I have a whole list now of podcasts to check out, so I'm trying to check out one or two every couple of days and try and catch up on a few episodes here and there. So yeah, so the prize winners again, Jillian Turner, Patty B, and Lynn K. And hopefully hopefully I didn't speed through this too quickly, but I'll put the screenshots on the screen of the comments. So yeah, get in contact with me either through Ravelry, Instagram, or email. So, and all the links to those, all the information on how to contact me will be in the description box below. Yeah, so that was the giveaway winners. Again, thank you so much to everyone who commented and recommended all the podcasts. I'm like stock full of podcasts to watch for the summer now. I'm super excited. Also, with that said, I'm also going to do, I think I decided, because I love doing giveaways. It's a lot of fun. And so I'm thinking what I might do for each podcast this summer is do a giveaway for each podcast episode. And so it'll be super simple. All you have to do is comment on the video and you'll be entered to win. The prize for, I like to kind of keep it economical for me, is the prize will be your choice of one of my design patterns. So yeah, all you have to do is comment below, and right before I podcast, or right before I record the next episode, I'll draw a winner and then I'll announce it on my next episode. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. So with the admin section out of the way, let's jump into the knitting. And the first thing, oh yes, is what I'm wearing, because what I'm wearing is also a finished object and I'm super excited about it. So this is my Serendipity Wrap, and this is a pattern by Carrie Bird Designs. So I don't want to undo it because I didn't sew the snaps on very well, so it's kind of a pain to unsnap them and snap them, but I've got snaps on the inside, on here, on this side here, and then I have snaps right here as well. So it kind of it opens up and it wraps like this. So it's got big billowy sleeves that cinch up into the wristband here. I'll stand up, you can get an idea. So it's kind of cropped, so it's like right at my waist. And yeah, don't mind I didn't do a very good job. I think next time what I'll do is sew a ribbon in here to give it more reinforcement and then sew snaps on. But yeah, so super cute. It is getting really warm in here, so I'm kind of, yeah, I wouldn't say uncomfortable, but it's getting warm. So anyways, the yarn that I used for this is Loops and Threads Wool-like, and I held it double. It took me, I think, only 4 balls. So what is that? I think it's got about 640 or 680 yards on it. So altogether, holding it double, I guess that was maybe 12 to 1300, about 1200 yards for this whole thing. And it took me a long time. There's a lot of stitches on here. I calculated out how long it took me to do the sleeves, and each sleeve took me approximately somewhere between 10 and 12 hours worth of knitting, just straight knitting. So it was quite there's a lot of stitches on the sleeve. Last time I mentioned that I was thinking I might need help with the seaming, but I realized once I had the front 2 pieces and the back piece, once I had that done and it was ready to cast off and seam, what I actually did was I left a really long tail of yarn before I cut it, and I decided when I had all the pieces, what I do is a 3-needle bind off, because that's something that I learned from another pattern that it was the Ripple Bralette. That was the first time I've ever done a 3-needle bind off, and I liked the way it looked, and so I decided instead of seaming the shoulders, I would do, where is it? Oh yeah, it's right there. It's like barely noticeable. Oh well, I mean you can see now. But yeah, so I did a 3 needle bind off instead of seaming it because I did try to seam, but I don't know, it just didn't look clean to me. Maybe I'm just not good at it. But I like the way that the 3 needle bind off looked, so that's what I did. And I'm really happy that I did do that. Yeah, so really, and also like I said last week, the pattern itself is kind of ambiguous. There's no diagrams in it, but like once I had the pieces done and in front of me, I mean it's all one piece. You just separate for each side and the back, and once I saw all the pieces and how the armholes are made, it kind of clicked, and I was like, oh, okay, I get this. I understand how this is supposed to go together. So I keep saying like, oh, I want to knit another one, but I think it'll be a while before I knit another one because this was there was a lot of stitches on this, and it was quite the endeavor. I worked on this almost monogamously for several days. Just to get it done. And I'm really glad. Yesterday, I spent an hour weaving in all the ends. At least an hour weaving in ends and sewing on the snaps. Because I sewed some of the snaps on the wrong way, and then I had to undo them and do them again. Anyway, all that to say, I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think it's super cute, and I can't wait to I mean, now it's a part of my wardrobe, so I'm really excited to, yeah, have it as, I guess, like a wardrobe staple. Because it goes with a lot of my dresses. So anyways, so that's my what I'm wearing and one of my finished objects. The second finished object is my ranunculus. Oh, did I show this last week? Or not last week, but last time? I don't remember. I think I might have cast this. Oh, no. I think I cast this on before I finished my other ranunculus. But anyways, so this, you'll recognize the yarn. It's the Drops Baby Alpaca Silk, and I had like just over 2 balls left over from my Cascadas tee, and I thought, oh well, that should be enough for ranunculus, like a short sleeve ranunculus. So I did the short sleeve version where you just kind of cast off the sleeves and then you continue with the body. And yeah, don't mind the crease. I did block it, but it's been folded for a while. But yeah, so I don't think I did any alterations to this. I think I pretty well did it straight to pattern. I might have made it a little bit shorter, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. The stitches are really fun to do. So yeah, so that's one ranunculus, the second one I cast on. But I think I did finish this one before I finished my first one. So I'll show you my other one. So this one is my long sleeve. It's looking like really yellow on the screen. It's definitely more muted, but I did really long sleeves on this one. It actually, like, the sleeves come to like the tip of my fingers, which I think it's interesting because when I knit it so that it would come to like here on my hand, but when I blocked it, the yarn grew, I guess. Or I don't know, maybe I pulled the sleeves too much, but I like it. I still like it because I didn't do any decreases. I didn't do the sleeve that's in the pattern. I think it's it's got a diagonal thing or something. I'm not entirely sure, but I didn't follow the pattern. I just picked up for the sleeves and then just knit straight down until I felt it was long enough. And then I cast off with a smaller needle size. So this one is super cute. The yarn that I used on this one, I think, is Concept by Katya, Casual. So nice. I'm so excited. My sister, I was able to get some pictures of me wearing these yesterday. So if I get them, I have them, so I'll have them put on the screen so you can see me wearing them. Oops. But yeah, so that's ranunculus number 2. And you bet I cast on another one, which I'll show in my works in progress. But yeah, I think that's it for finished objects. 3 garments, basically. 2 ranunculuses, and then my Serendipity Wrap. Yeah, the other, like the Felix pullovers that I was working on, I didn't get those done, unfortunately, because I really wanted to get these done, and then I had one of my works in progress I'll show you. It's kind of been eating up a lot of my time. But yeah, that's all I have for finished objects. So I'll go into works in progress. And speaking of Felix, well, actually no. Speaking of Ranunculus, let's go with the Ranunculus. I'm pretty sure it's in this bag. Yeah, so this morning I woke up at 3 or 3:30 and I couldn't fall back asleep. I just had knitting on my mind, and oh yeah, totally forgot to talk about the sticks from Stash Make Along. I'll talk about that at the end of the episode. But I've been going through pretty much all of my yarn, and I kind of have this thing, the last Friday of the month, I call it Finally Friday. Free your needles and liberate your yarn. You can do it any day, really, but I just picked the last Friday of the month to go through my projects and take anything off the needles that isn't sparking anymore, like any joy anymore, and also just generally cleaning up my project bags, because I sometimes will throw needles and cords and stuff without putting them back in my needle cases. Anyways, so this yarn was actually liberated from a project, from a shawl. It was knit into a shawl that I just wasn't wearing, and so I unraveled the whole thing, just wound up the yarn into little balls, and this morning when I woke up at 3 or 3:30, I was just like, aha, another Ranunculus. That's what I'm gonna do. And so, of course, I cast on another Ranunculus this morning at 3:30 before the sun came up. I haven't gotten much done, but I did cast it on, and I've gotten it's still on 16-inch circulars. I haven't swapped it up to a larger cord size, but you can see the stitches coming along. Let's see. Yeah, so I think I'm just on the eyelets now. I'm just starting the lace part of it. Yeah. So I think I've got another 20 rounds for the yoke before I separate for the sleeves. And I believe the yarn that I'm using, hold on, let me grab this other one. It's a really nice, like, purple burgundy, of course. But this one, I'm fairly certain this is Anchor Bay by Cascade Yarns. And if I remember correctly, I think it's like a 50-50 blend. I think it's 50% cotton and 50% wool. I'd have to double check that, but I'm pretty sure it's something like that. So I figured it would be good for the summer. You know, it's somewhat cotton. It'll be breathable. It's a very loose gauge. So that is my Ranunculus. Oh, I forgot to say who the pattern is by. Last episode, I think I said Knit Cafe Midori, but I think that's the publication. So the designer is actually Midori Hirose, I think is how you pronounce it. But yeah, so very popular pattern. I think it came out in like 2017. And as I mentioned last time, like, people have probably knit 1 or 2 or 3 or more. So, and I mean, I've hopped on that train too. I've got 2 finished and a 3rd one on the go. So yeah, so that is another garment that I'm working on, which will probably hopefully be done by next time, I think. Yeah, because one of my other garments is a little bit more involved. So I'll go on to the next one. My Felix Pullover, which is living in this big felted bag. The bag is probably too big for the project, but when I was cleaning out my studio, I found a couple of these felted bags that just had stuff in them, and I thought, oh, these would be great for sweater bags. So anyways, so this is my budget-friendly Felix Pullover. This is designed by Amy Christoffers, and you can see I've made some progress. It's an oversized, like, I've made it oversized, like, sweater. Yeah, I think I was like right here last time. So I finished the body. I made it extra long. I figure if it's too long, I can just take it out and then pick up the stitches again and cast off a little bit sooner, or like higher up if it's for my younger sister. So when she tries it on and we figure out if the size is good or not, we'll modify it from there. And I picked up for one of the sleeves, and I'm not doing any decreases. I'm just going to do a straight sleeve all the way down, and then I don't think I'm gonna do any decreases. I'm just gonna leave it as a wide open sleeve. Oops, I gotta try not to do that and let these needles hit the chair. Anyways, so the yarn that I'm using is Lion Brand Pound of Love. So it was like basically this big ball of worsted weight yarn. It's kind of like a thick worsted. But yeah, it's burgundy. One of my sister's favorite colors. So I'm hoping she'll like it. I told her if she doesn't think she'll wear it, then I'd gladly take it. But we'll see. Hopefully I'll have that one done. I mean, I'm not really in a rush to get it done because it is a sweater and it's summer. But it would be nice to get it off the needles so I can reclaim the cords and the needles for other projects. So that's that one. My last garment? No, this is not my last garment. My last big garment is living in this felted bag that I got. Oh, these bags came from like my local fabric store several years ago. They have a clearance section that they occasionally put stuff in, and I got these bags for, I don't know, probably like $10 or something. They're just, I think they're perfect size for a sweater quantity. So living in here is my humble beginnings of my All of the Lights cardigan by Joji Locatelli. I've got a lot of ends here. I generally don't weave in my ends until the very end of a project, just in case I have to rip back. So I don't like having to rip back, like unpicking ends that have been woven in. Anyways, so last time I mentioned that I thought the size I picked was too small, and so I was going to go up a garment size. And when I first cast this on, and I went up to the larger garment size, I finished one of the shoulder pieces. So this is a shoulder, like this is sort of the front, like it's kind of hard to explain. It's the construction is very interesting, but the way that this will sit is like this. So when I did the larger size, these shoulder pieces came way down here. It was too long. So I figured what I will do is I'll go by the measurements for like the yarn that I'm using here. Oh, I'll mention that. This is yarn that I got from a D-stash. And this is called Ambrosia by Knit 1 Crochet 2. It is 70% baby alpaca, 20% silk, and 10% cashmere. So that's the Ambrosia by Knit 1 Crochet 2. So I'm hoping, I think I got enough to make this, this cardigan. So anyways, so I think the size is going to be okay because my gauge, I'm off by like 1 or 2 stitches. Like my gauge is such that the garment will be a little bit bigger, which is fine because I would rather it be a little bit bigger than to be too small. So I'll give you some of the details here so you can see the cables there. And this is the start of the back piece here. So there's lace and cable panels all throughout the back. So you can see just the beginnings of the lace and cable pattern there. So this is going to be a labor of love for sure. It takes a lot of brain power for me to get through one row. I try to do a right side and wrong side row. Like when I'm sitting down, I have to do at least both. So then that way I know I can move my sticky notes. I think I mentioned last time I put sticky notes on my patterns to keep track of where I am. And so this one, I've been keeping notes. Every time I put the pattern away, I write down exactly which rows I was on for each of the repeat things, because like I mentioned last time, my sticky note from one of my patterns fell off and then I forgot the row. So I'm trying to be better this time and make sure that I write the last row that I was on, just in case the sticky notes fall off. But yeah, so that's All of the Lights by Joji Locatelli, and I'm super excited to have that done. Hopefully, I'm thinking by the end of the summer, because it, like I said, it's basically lace and cable on every row. So, I already talked about this. And okay, so the next one is technically garments, but they're smaller. So I got 2 projects in this. Another bag that I found when I was cleaning out my studio, Crafty Creations. I believe that's a company that was a vendor that was at Knit City. I would have gotten this a couple years ago at Knit City. But yeah, it was just a nice canvas tote bag. So quickly, I mean, I'll get through these pretty quickly. So living in here is my Ripple Bralette by Jessie Made Designs. And I showed it last week. I was just on the bottom ribbing, and now I'm on the body ribbing. So I've got, I think, maybe like 10 or 15 more rounds before I start doing the, like, separate for the front left and the front right. But yeah, it's pretty, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Oh, and the progress creeper I'm using is let's see, this little tiny kitty cat ear stitch marker that I got from Firefly Notes. And also the yarn that I used for this is Loops and Threads Wool-like. If you can't tell by now, I kind of, I wouldn't say I'm obsessed with this yarn, but it's a very budget-friendly yarn, and I feel like you get a lot of yardage for it. Like holding it double makes a really nice fabric. So I think it's like maybe $4.50 at Michael's, but I generally only buy it when it's on sale, so maybe I pay like $3 for it. $3 for a ball. But yeah, so that's, you know, the Ripple Bralette starting. It's still, like, I'm hoping to have it done by next time because I would like to add it to my collections, or my collection of Ripple Bralettes. The other thing in here is also a design by Jessie Made Designs, and this is the Ripple Buttshorts. The starting of them, or the starting of it anyway. So again, I've got ends and stuff. So I got my drawstring, my I-cord drawstring here. And I just finished the short rows at the back. So now I'm going to be doing, I think the next part is increasing the front or something. But yeah, so again, the yarn that I used is the Loops and Threads Wool-like. And this is in the pink. I'm wearing the same pink I'm wearing right now because this is what I had left over from this pattern. Because I originally bought 6 balls of this yarn thinking I would have to cut into the last 2, but didn't have to touch them. So I figured it should be enough yardage to make Ripple Butt Shorts. So I'm pretty excited about that. Hopefully something that'll be done for next time. The pattern, again, like Jessie Made Designs, her patterns are very well written, very, very easy to follow, and I would highly recommend them to anyone. Like, then they're very size inclusive as well. So, and if you look at the project pages, there's like all shapes and sizes of, you know, and all different types of fabric and stuff like that. So like you'll probably find, like, if you're looking for what it looks like in a certain color or on a certain body shape, you will probably find it in the Ravelry, on the Ravelry page, like the pattern page, where they post all the pictures. But yeah, I think the last thing I want to talk about is actually within these 3 bags. Yeah, so these are all bags that I made. You've seen them. You'll see them on basically every podcast episode because I just rotate through the same bags. I have the same, I think like 15, 16 bags or something, and I just kind of rotate around them. So I think the first thing I'm going to show is actually this one. So this is kind of a sneak peek into my very strange, well, I wouldn't say strange, it's just my design process, the way I work on my designs. And so what I tend to do is, like, I have an idea and then I just find some spare yarn that's been kicking around and I cast it on. And so this is, I think, the 5th time I've cast it on with this particular yarn. This was left over from a shawl that I made last year. This is called Galesk Tweed. Oh, come on. Yeah. It's 50 grams for 190 meters. So I think I weighed it and I think I have like 150 grams altogether, which isn't, I calculated it out and it's not going to be enough for this particular shawl design, but this is just how I I work on my design, I test it out. I originally did a garter edging. Actually, no, I cast it on a different set of yarn with garter, and I ripped that out. And I cast it on this, and I ripped this out. And I've cast it on at least, maybe a dozen times and taken it off. But yeah, so this was just kind of testing out the math in my pattern to make sure that it works right. I'm probably going to keep this as it is because I still need to figure out how I'm going to bind off this pattern. But you can see on the front, it's kind of, you see more of the white, and on the back you see more of the blue. All right, so that's one version of it, like that I'm testing stuff on. And then I got, this yarn is Malabrigo sock yarn. I don't remember the colorways, but I thought it would be interesting to try with like a dark color on the front. I guess you can kind of, here, I'll show you. Oh yeah, I think if you've watched my podcast since I think the first, or if you've watched the first episode of my podcast or the second one, you might recognize this yarn. I used it in my brioche cowl scarf thingy, and on last Friday, I guess it was, my finally Friday, I liberated the yarn from that project so that I could use it for this. So you can see the front is like that, and then the back is like this bright pink. This one I was testing out how to do I-cord in brioche, and I figured it out after a lot of trial and error. And then I decided, because I did the I-cord different in 2 different places, so I decided, okay, so I went back to the drawing board. I take a lot of notes, I make a lot of scribbles, and I rewrite my pattern multiple times every time that I figure out that I want to change something. And so living in this bag is probably going to be the first one that I finish. So basically you can see I've got these like jar glass vase things over here, and I keep a lot of odds and ends. Anytime I have like just a little bit of stuff left over, I put it, I've got Ziploc bags full of odds and ends of like fingering weight, DK weight, worsted weight, whatever. And so I went through my collection and I picked out some colors that I had a little bit of stuff of. So I've got like this really fun one. I don't remember who this is by, but I'm pretty sure it was called Birthday Cake Yarn. Like the colorway. This one I believe is from Midnight Cravings. I think this one is Diana Berry, and I think this one is Raspberry Cordial from Midnight Cravings. And then there's some Cascade sock, some kind of sock. And I think this is, I don't remember what this one is. And then this little ball here, I think is Stranded Dye Works. A little bit of paint, watercolor something. It wasn't Ocean Rainbow. I think it was like something watercolor. But anyways, so I'll show you what this, oh yeah, and I've got more. This was a mini set that I got years ago from Stranded Dye Works. It came with like, there it goes. A couple of blues and a purple. So let me just grab this. Okay, so this is a very, like, this is what's been eating my time, is this design. Having knitting it and ripping it out, knitting it, ripping it out, knitting it, ripping it out. But finally, I think I'm still gonna make changes to the final version, but this is kind of like, I'm working out the math on the, like, weighing out how much yarn I'm gonna need for the shawl. And I think I've got the math right, but anyways, so you can see it's gonna be a crescent shaped shawl, so it's on short needles right now. It's kind of like it's looking not the shape it's supposed to be. But I've got the I-cord edging there, and you can kind of see like a bit of the color coming through, like the purple. The pink here is Sweet Georgia. I think it was called Rose Gold. I made my Vista socks out of it. And then like these blues here were all from Stranded Dye Works. So the fun thing about the shawl is that on one side it's a little more subdued. So you see definitely more of the what I'm calling is the main color. So you would pick like a neutral. And then the fun part is on the back side. So you get all the bright colors on the back side. So I'm going to be switching some of these stitches around, I think, for the final version. But as you can see, I started with the purple up here, and then it goes into this like brioche, and then the pink, a little bit of brioche, and then this this blue into, I think it was this watercolor colorway, really cool, like variegated. And now I'm into this like electric blue and white variegated. But you can, once it's blocked, it'll look so much better. But I'm really excited about this, but it is a very labor intensive. Well, it's a really easily memorizable, very easy to memorize the stitch pattern, and it's really, at least for me, it's really easy to read what stitch I'm on. Like occasionally I will miss an increase somewhere, but it's easy enough to read where it's like if I get to the beginning of the row and I'm like, oh shoot, I missed a stitch, I just, you know, you can just add one in. You just make one left or make one right, or I think generally I end up having to make one and knit front back to get the right amount of stitches. But it's easy to see which stitches that you knit, which ones you purl. But when I say labor intensive, I mean like it's physically a lot of back and forth motion, like a lot of yarn front, yarn back, knitting, purling. So as the rows get longer, it's getting a little bit more tedious doing the back and forth motion with my hand, because I knit English style. I'm a thrower, and I tension my yarn in my right hand, like literally between my finger and my thumb. So it's a lot of like just going back and forth like that. My hands, knock on wood, well, I don't have any, oh, here we go. I haven't had any soreness in my wrist or my hands. Yeah, I have been taking breaks and working on other things. So if I did my math correctly, I'm about 1/3 of the way through. So I still have, and I think it took me 4 days to get to this point in the shawl. So I'm gonna need another like 8 days to finish the shawl, unless I sit down and really crank through it. But yeah, I ordered yarn from Polkadot Creek, and if I remember, I'll try and get a picture of the yarn that I ordered. It's like kind of like a rainbow set of mini skeins and then undyed natural yarn. So I'm really excited for that to arrive, hopefully in the next couple weeks, and then I can get my final version going and then probably start looking for test knitters, because there's also going to be like a little bit of a twist at the end. So I kind of have to there's a lot of like information I'm going to need to include for my test knitters to know before they decide if they want to test knit it or not. So that's a design that I'm hoping to, like, I would love to have it released by September. So I have to, once I get the yarn in the mail, once it arrives, hopefully in the next week or two, if I can crank it out in a week or two, and get it out to test knitters for August, and then release it in September, that would be ideal for me. But I think that's cutting it a bit close, but we'll see. I also have my, oh yes, so I made a swatch for my woodstone wrap. So this is my swatch. It's actually, once I did my swatch and I measured it and I weighed it and I calculated out how much yardage I'd need, I decided that it would be just about 4 balls or 4 skeins to make the size that I want, but I think it's like just over 4 skeins. So I'm like, you know what, let's just go 5 skeins, and I'm just gonna add in my, like, the extra twisted stitches there. So I'm gonna, when I haven't ordered the yarn for this yet, but yeah, this is Mid-Knit Cravings. You might recognize the yarn. I used it in my 4 Norwest hat and cowl. So I'm going to be using not these colors. I think there's a colorway called Cobblestone, and I think I'm going to get that to make my woodstone wrap. And it's going to need, if my math is correct, I'm going to need 5 skeins. So it's going to be a bit of an investment. It's like, pretty much all I do is, like, I pay my rent, I buy food, and I buy yarn. It's like all my money goes towards, well, I would say like most of my money goes towards my hobby. I mean, knitting is the only thing I really spend money on outside of like necessities. So I don't mind because I knit every day, pretty much all day. Anytime I have free time, I'm knitting. So yeah, that was my swatch I made out of leftover of their worsted weight yarn. So that's another design that I'm hoping to have published or like have ready for test knitters in the next couple of months. And then I have a hat pattern that I need to get the yarn for and knit one more time before I send it out to test knitters. And then I have, of course, my Woodstone cardigan, which I know several people have asked me about. I still haven't figured out how to do sizing, but I'm slowly getting there. I've been looking up like tutorials or like just looking up like information on how to size garments in knitting and how to, yeah, because I want to try and be as size inclusive as I possibly can, especially because like it's going to be my first garment too. So I want to make sure that like, you know, anyone could knit it. So yeah. So the Woodstone cardigan probably won't be until later this year. It probably won't even be until like the fall, winter, unless I really, you know, get myself together and go gung ho with that. So, but yeah, I'll keep you guys updated with the Woodstone cardigan. But I will be releasing the Woodstone wrap, which will be using a similar stitch pattern to the Woodstone cardigan. So yeah, so that's my design stuff. Yeah, so that's it for like the actual knitting stuff. I think I've covered all my works in progress and my stuff. What was in here? Oh yeah, my ranunculus. Yes, so I covered everything. So if that's all you're here for, thank you so much for stopping by and checking out what I've been up to. And if you are interested in my stash acquisition this past week, I brought one of each of the sweater quantities of yarn that I purchased. A friend of mine is having a major de-stash, and she's selling, like she's de-stashing a bunch of yarn at a very good discount. And so I bought 4 sweaters quantities worth of yarn. I've already shown this one. This is the Ambrosia by Knit One Crochet Two. This is really soft pink. If you can't tell, I'm kind of a pink person and a burgundy person and a purple person. Yeah. So that was that one. This one is Queensland Collection Kathmandu Aran. So that's this one here. And it's kind of like a tweed. Let's see, it is 85% merino wool, 10% silk, and 5% cashmere, so it is pretty soft as well. It's 50 grams, 104 yards per ball. But look at that. Oh, it's so pretty. So this is gonna, I think this is the weight that I'm making my Woodstone cardigan out of. So this will be, it won't be the final yarn that I use for my pattern because I already have that in my mind as someone else's yarn. But I think I'm gonna write up the pattern and try and follow it. So I have another purple one. I've got my other purple one back here. I was wearing it early this morning when it was a little bit colder, but now it's definitely getting hot. So that's that one. This one's another Queensland collection, and this is Leche. And this is it's coming up a little bit more like, it's a bit more, no, it's not even purple. It's a burgundy for sure, but it looks lighter on the screen than it does in real life. So this is 40% extra fine merino wool, 30% microfiber, 20% milk protein, and 10% silk. So this is, I've never used yarn with milk protein in it. That's an interesting one. But I got a sweater's quantity in this, and I might be making a sweater for my sister in this because burgundy is also her color. And then the last one I got is this Scrumptious DK Worsted by Fiberspates. So that's the tag. And this one is 45% silk and 55% merino, so it's like super lustrous. It's so nice. It's so squishy. It's showing up a lot brighter on screen. It's definitely a lot more toned down. But I left the other half of my window open so you can see like some of the natural light. But yeah, so that is, I got another sweater's quantity of this. So I have tentative ideas for, like I said, I'm going to do my Woodstone cardigan in this purple tweed. I'm going to make a sweater for my sister out of this one. And then this one, I'm really not sure because, yeah, it's because it's like 45% silk. I'm not sure if putting it in a garment will be, I don't know. I'm looking into that. I don't know, but I'm sure I'll figure something out with that one. But yeah, so that was my acquisitions. I did order, like I mentioned earlier, I did order, I think 8 mini skeins and 2 full skeins of yarn from Polkadot Creek. And that should come in the next couple weeks, so I'm pretty excited about that. And then I have a couple of other investments I need to make for my designs in the future. So I gotta save my money for that. I think that's it for, yeah, acquisitions, yarn stuff. Yeah. I think the other thing, oh yeah. Okay. Let's pause for a second. What was the other thing I was going to talk about? Oh yeah. So the 6 from Stash Make Along 2021. I completely forgot. I think I was so excited last time. I completely forgot to say that it started on June 22nd. I think was the day that I podcasted. So I have the group. It's on, like, I have the group on Ravelry. I have it linked below. And there is a finished objects thread and a chatter thread. So basically, I've posted all the information, like all the guidelines in the chatter thread. And if you have any further questions, like if anything is ambiguous or you need clarification on anything, feel free to ask in the chatter thread and I will hopefully reply as quickly as possible. And yeah, and then we've already got a post in the finished objects thread, which is really cool to see. So if you, and also whips are welcome. Like, so if you have something on the needles that's using stash yarn that was acquired, again, like previous to this year, so 2020 and before, feel free to enter that in the make along as well. And I had a couple of ideas of how I wanted to go about doing it. The finished objects thread, ideally, because I've got the 6 projects, 3 of them are wild cards. So basically, like, once you finish the first 3, your last 3 projects can be anything. I think the requirements for the other 3 projects are something between 150 to 300 yards, and then 300 yards to 800 yards, and then something 800 yards plus, or something like that. Somewhere around there. And then, yeah, the 3 wild cards. And what I was hoping is that people would post which item that they've made. So if it's if what they're posting is a wild card item, to say a wild card number 1, and then if they post a sweater, say, oh, like 800 yards plus, like this one is for the 800 yards plus one. I'm still thinking of ways to make it a little more streamlined, like a little bit easier to navigate. But if you have any ideas or have any suggestions, because this is my first make along I've ever hosted, feel free to mention it in the chatter thread. It would be so great to see you guys there. But yeah, and then this goes until the end of the year, and what I'm hoping is pull a prize every 2 months, because like I said, I need to make it a little bit economical, because I do have a few investments I need to make into yarn for my designs. So that's where most of my money's going. So the prizes will be, like, again, something probably like patterns on Ravelry again, because that's easy. I don't have to ship it, and it's something that you can get instantly, kind of thing. So I'll have more on that, I think, on my next episode. I'm still kind of working that one out. But yeah, so what else did I want to say? So yeah, feel free to use the hashtag on Instagram, 6 from Stash, MAL 2021. Yeah, I think that's what the hashtag was. So you can feel free to use that on Instagram as well. And I think I'm following that hashtag, so I'll see it. So I'll be able to see it and comment and like it. And oh yeah, I will be sharing some of my own 6 from Stash. Like, this Ranunculus was made out of stash yarn. This Ranunculus was made out of deep stash yarn. I think, there was something else. Oh, my Felix Pullover, the teal one, that one is stash yarn. So I think at some point I'm going to sit down and take pictures of all of these things and post them on Instagram with my hashtag so you guys can see what I've been up to, because I don't want to post in the finished objects thread because I don't want to mess up the pulling the prizes and stuff. So maybe I'll post it in the chatter thread. But yeah, so anyways, with that said, feel free to come over to the Ravelry group and join in the make-along. Or you can also just join in the make-along on Instagram by using the hashtag. So I think that's it. I think I've covered everything. Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, it was so nice to be able to podcast again after 2 weeks. I think this is the quickest I've podcasted after the previous episode. And like I said, I'm going to try and podcast every 2 weeks in the summer. And again, I'm going to do a giveaway every episode. So all you have to do is comment below and I'll draw a prize winner the morning of my next podcast. So not next Sunday, but the Sunday after. And the winner will receive their choice of one of my design patterns, or one of my pattern designs, whatever. So yeah, I think with that said, yeah, hope you guys are having a good time. I hope, I know the heat wave, heat dome, whatever, this crazy heat that has happened last week is passing through the rest of Canada right now, and I think the rest of the US. It's just bonkers. But hopefully things will settle down temperature wise, and hopefully you guys are all doing okay out there. Yeah, so I hope to see you again in 2 weeks. Thanks again for stopping by, and yeah, happy knitting. Bye.